So hello to all my pregnancy ladies. Welcome to the first pregnancy yoga class online. I hope you're all well and you've got your mat set out and all your bits and pieces that you might need. We're starting today with a lovely letter from Natalia. Natalia obviously was in our class before we had to stop. And just before I read it, it really is one of the big things that we're missing out on from not meeting as a class. And that's the letters we get in, the baby visits, and just the chat between you ladies in the class, which is so important. So please, if you're able to, keep sending me your birth news, anything else you want to share. I'm more than happy to read out, or you can always put it in the comments below the video. So Natalia writes, "Dear Liz and the rest of the class, just wanted to say a huge thank you for all the classes and continued support in this crazy time. Our little girl decided to arrive 9 days early on the 22nd of March. Kenzie was 5 pounds and 3 ounces. It was the best Mother's Day present ever. We're both doing great, and once we're a little more settled, I'll send you my full birth story, so I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for teaching me the breathing techniques. I couldn't have done it without them. Take care and hope to attend the postnatal once life's back to normal. Love and good luck to all the ladies in the class." So as I say, it's really great to hear from you and I really appreciate that. And if you give me permission to share your story, that's really, giving back. So, on our top tips for labour, which if you don't have a copy of this, you can find on my website, LizForemanYoga.com. We're on the letter L. So a couple of things on the letter L to think about. So love, we've got love. Hopefully you're surrounded by love and support at the moment, and so will your babies be. It's, I know, worrying times, but you're just going to be fine. So love is really connected to oxytocin. Oxytocin is also called our love hormone, and that comes into play when we're giving birth to our babies. A huge surge of oxytocin, which helps in the bonding process. It's also present when you're breastfeeding, so that's another lovely reason to breastfeed your baby. And love can help in labour as well. So to keep the labour going, as we've spoken about before, the last thing that you want to happen is for labour to start and stop-start, as it were. So to keep the labour going, keep the hormones flowing, sometimes it's nice to have a little cuddle with your partner. Just getting, those love feelings around you once more. Laughter, keeping a sense of humour, particularly at the moment in this crazy time, is really important. So don't forget to, just laugh about what's happening to your body, the feelings you're having. Laughter in labour is great as well. If you can crack a smile, it releases lots of wonderful hormones, happy hormones into the body. Lighting, so on a more practical kind of level, lighting is really important. Creating that environment, we've talked a lot about that in our pregnancy yoga classes. Creating that cave-like environment in which your body can switch off. The front part of the brain can switch off and the back part, the primitive part of the brain, can start to take over and help you in your labour. So creating a dark environment. Have you ever wondered why babies are often born at night, or women often go into labour at night? It's because you're kind of in that cave, you're back in that kind of prehistoric cave-like situation. So if it's a beautiful bright day like it is today, you definitely want to draw the curtains. You can think about when you get to hospital, about dimming the light switches. The birth centres now all have dimmer switches and allow you to bring things in like, your fairy lights. Obviously no candles, no naked flames, but you can get those little candles that we sometimes use in class that run on a battery. So it's all about bringing everything in so you're able to shut off, to switch off from bright lights, from conversations, from things that are going to stimulate the front part of the brain. A couple of years ago now, a lady contributed some wonderful advice, and she shared with the class when she came in to tell her birth story that she'd actually put on some sunglasses to travel to the hospital in, and that she said that this not only cut down the amount of light that was coming in, but also kind of acted as a bit of a shield between her and the outside world, which I thought was a great idea. So maybe adding sunglasses, particularly as we're moving to having more daylight, packing some sunglasses in your bag would be a really good idea. Okay, so let's get ourselves together for some yoga, shall we? So slipping off any socks, making sure you've got space around you, and if you've been sitting, just making your way up to standing nice and slowly. So we're going to take the feet nice hip width apart, lifting and spreading the toes so you can become really aware of the ground beneath you. We're going to take a little bend in the knees, and taking the hands onto the hips, we're just going to start by circling gently round. A little bit of movement into the hips and the lumbar spine. You're increasing the blood flow around the pelvis as you do this. And this is definitely going to be one of the first things that helps with the pain of labour, if you like. The early stages, you'll be drawn to just easing out that lower back. You can see as I lean forward, I'm taking the weight as well away from the spine. And you can just begin to connect with your body, so you don't have to do a certain number in one direction and then the other. You can just feel how that flow is working for you. It's an important part of the classes to really come into your body, to start to trust what feels right for you. So by doing all these exercises that we do, we're building up that muscle memory. It's kind of like packing a bag, really, getting our resources of different movements, different positions that we can then call on in labour. So a couple more rotations into the hips. It might be beginning to feel nice, easing out the lower back. And then slowly coming back to centre. So as your baby grows, your centre of gravity is of course always changing. So just appreciating where that is, the weight into the toes and into the heels, and just finding your central point. Now, if you've got a birth ball, I'll just grab mine. If you've got a birth ball, we can do that same movement sitting on the ball. So a couple of little tips if you are getting your birth ball out of the attic or unpacking it from Amazon. You want to make sure that it's the right height for you. So if you're fairly short, like I am, then most balls will be okay for you, because what you're looking for is the hips to be higher than the knees when you're sitting on there. So this might just be a question of really pumping the ball up nice and solid. If you're taller, you may need to look round for a slightly larger ball that's going to mean that you're in that same position. So if you're sitting on your ball, you can take your feet a little further apart again, just really connecting with the floor, stretching out those toes, making sure you're obviously not going to fall off. And then we can do that same circling movement, winding through as we go round on the ball. So you might hear that pleasant squeak as I roll round. So again, this is a really lovely one to do when you're in labour. You're just keeping the body moving, taking the weight with that little lean forward, taking the weight away from the spine, and obviously using gravity. So maybe that's one to practice a little later after we've done some more. You can always just watch the telly doing this. Sitting on your birth ball is a really good thing to start to do now. It'll make you feel a lot more comfortable in the spine because, as you can see, as I've just suggested, you're taking that baby weight away rather than reclining back on the sofa. So we'll pop that away for a moment and we'll come to standing back on the mat. So that connection with the feet and the floor beneath us is really important. So you want to spread the toes, lift the inner arches, and possibly, if you're comfortable to, just closing the eyes for a moment. Just really helps to be aware of, again, your centre of balance, so you can feel the weight coming into the toes and into the heels, and feel the way that the body's continually adjusting, so the core muscles are continually adjusting to keep you standing upright, something we don't really notice in everyday life, that's always happening. And then maybe just take a little roll into the shoulders. So you're softening those shoulder blades back and down, maybe drawing into the fingertips a little bit to encourage the shoulders away from the ears. Lift the sternum, so the sternum at the front of the chest. We're just lifting, feeling the length coming into the spine, all the way up through the lumbar, thoracic back, into the cervical spine at the back of the neck. So maybe just tucking the chin very slightly under to get the full length through the back of the neck, growing tall into the crown of your head. And just becoming aware of your breath. So Tadasana, mountain pose. Just noticing the breath filling the front of the body. Notice that lift and that expansion into the rib cage as you inhale. And then maybe noticing how the rib cage just draws in and down slightly as you exhale. One more big deep breath there. And then just bringing a little movement into the fingers, maybe the toes, slowly opening the eyes, coming back into the room. So we're going to link a little bit of movement into the breath, in with the breath now. So standing towards the back of your mat, I'd like you to take a generous step forward with your right foot. And inhaling, just lifting, bring the arms up alongside the head, making sure that you're not drawing the shoulders up and crunching around that neck and shoulder area. So keep the shoulder blades relaxed back and down. And then as we exhale, we're stepping back. So with the breath, let's take the left foot forward, inhale the arms all the way up. And as you exhale, stepping back. Just keeping that going, so following your breath. So if your baby has grown quite large, it might be taking away from your lung capacity, so you may be having to move a little quicker than me, and that's absolutely fine. But really giving yourself time to completely exhale. So don't rush the movement. Inhaling, coming forward and bringing the arms up. And exhaling, slowly coming back. Inhale, bringing the arms up, relaxing those shoulder blades back and down. Exhaling fully as you come back. Once more to each side. then we're going to come slowly down to the mat. So maybe sliding the hands down the thighs until you're able to reach the floor. And then just coming forward onto all fours. So as always, we really want to protect those knees. So if you've got maybe a little bit of blanket handy, you can just pop that under your knees for a bit of cushioning. And then we're taking the hands underneath, or the wrists underneath the elbows and the shoulders. Just check that your middle finger is pointing straight ahead, and there's maybe a little gap between each finger. So press into the hands to lift the chest a little bit. So what we don't want to do is let all the weight of the chest just hang in the shoulders there. We want to lift and activate all those muscles through the front of the chest, underneath the armpits and across the back. And then thinking about what's happening further down the body. Now, with the weight of your baby underneath you, you might find that your lower back, your lumbar spine is concaving more, like so. So just a slight tuck under of that tailbone. We're looking for the beginnings of a really straight, long spine. So again, pushing into the hands and thinking about taking the sternum forward a little bit. So if I over push into the hands, I'll get a rounded upper back. But by lengthening forward with the sternum, that begins to flatten off. I've still got my tailbone very slightly tucked under. And just taking a few breaths there. So the back of the feet are relaxed on the floor. And all that baby weight is just hanging below. So you can imagine your baby is in its little hammock, snuggled in below you there. Now we're going to again link the breath into a movement. So if you haven't done this one before, or you just need a little bit of a catch up, watching me for a moment. So I'm going to take a nice big deep breath in with that flat back. And as I exhale, I'm tucking the tailbone under and taking the head through to look towards the knees. I'm pushing a little more into the hands to help with that rounding through the back as I breathe out. And as soon as I need to inhale, lengthening all the way forward again. As soon as I breathe out, tucking everything under. Inhale, stretching away. So as you exhale, you can think about giving your baby a little bit of a hug up towards your body. And inhaling, just releasing, coming back to a flat spine. Keeping that movement and that breath flowing together. Anytime you've had enough in anything that we're doing, obviously taking a rest, don't wait for me to say. Otherwise we're just going to do one more long exhale. And then we're going to inhale, take the knees lovely and wide, kissing those big toes together behind and softening back into child pose. Now it may or may not be comfortable for you to come all the way down now, so you could always use a couple of cushions, yoga blocks, or even a chair to come forward on. I want you to be really comfortable. This is our relaxing position, Balasana, child posture, and we just want to quieten the mind. So taking your forehead in whatever position you're in onto the forearms, just encouraging the front of the brain to quieten and relax. So I'm just going to sit up so that I can make sure you can hear me properly, but you keep relaxing forward for a moment. So that quietening of the mind by resting the forehead onto the forearms is bringing us, isn't it, into what we were talking about earlier, our little cave space. We're shutting the outside world out and really enabling the body just to focus on that process of labour. So these hands and knees positions, this coming over. And if I just bring the chair into play, you can see that by being a little bit more upright, if you're in labour, you'd be continuing to use gravity and able to just come into that cave, shutting out everything else that's going on around you, whether you're at home or the birth centre or the hospital. So just taking your mind down to your baby. Maybe you've got a little picture in your mind of your baby. You can imagine them sucking their thumb, playing with their umbilical cord or their toes. And just sending a little smile all the way down. Imagining your baby smiling back up at you. And as you take some nice, long, deep breaths in this relaxed position, you can take love and light all the way down to your baby with each inhale. Maybe breathing away any fears, any worries or anxieties that you have at this moment. So inhaling light and love and calmness. Exhaling away any fears, any worries or anxiety. Safe in the knowledge that whatever's happening in the outside world, your body is continuing to do an amazing job growing your baby, nurturing your baby, loving your baby. And then when you're ready, just slowly, nice and slow, just coming back up to sitting. So we can remove any chairs, piles of blocks, etc. to the side. And we're going to come back round onto all fours. So again, using the blanket under your knees if you need to. I'm going to stretch mine out again actually. It's really important to look after the knees. And then whichever side you've got more space on, okay, because I don't know where you're practicing today. I hope you've got a little bit of space around you. But we're going to take the leg away where we've got more space to the side. So just tucking the toes of that foot under and just having a stretch out into the hamstring. So pushing the heel away, having a nice long stretch out of that leg. Still thinking about the awareness of what's happening in the front of the body, so still pressing into the hands, activating through the chest, lengthening through the sternum. And then we're going to turn that back foot onto the side. So the big toe edge is resting on the floor now. We're going to take a nice big deep breath in. And as you exhale, you're just moving that foot around the side. And back. So we're exhaling resting the foot on the floor for support and inhaling it away behind. So by turning the foot onto the side, we've turned all the way up into the hip joint. And we're working now the buttock and the outside edge of the hip, the gluteus maximus and the gluteus minimus, to draw the leg round with the breath. So once more, exhale, draw the leg around, inhale, taking it back, and just drawing it in for a moment. So you can take the weight off the wrists, maybe just giving them a little wind down. And then we'll have a go on the other side. So maybe turning yourself around, or maybe you've got space either side of your mat. Coming back into our cat position, so wrists under elbows and shoulders. We're working through the chest by pushing into the hands a little bit. And we're lengthening through the sternum. So we've got a lovely long flat spine. So just keeping your gaze down towards you, just a head on the floor to keep the neck in line, and taking the opposite leg away now. So first just having a stretch, just extending that leg away, pushing into the heel. And then we're going to turn once again onto that big toe edge side of the foot. So we've rotated all the way up into the hip joint. And then when you're ready, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring that leg around. Inhale, taking it back. Exhale, moving it round to the side. So just following your breath. Exhaling as you bring the leg around. Inhaling away. Once more if you can. Exhale. Inhale. And then sitting back. Again, just releasing the pressure from the wrists. Maybe having a little revolve and stretch out of the fingers. Okay. So we're going to work a little bit into our pelvic floor exercises now. So I'll just get my super duper pelvis. So it's really important that you're comfortable when you're working your pelvic floor. We want to relax the rest of the body and just be able to focus on that saucer of muscles that's sitting deep in the pelvis there, keeping everything up and in. And as I always say in class, it's not just for pregnant women. So if there's anyone else in your life that you can get along now to practice their pelvic floors, it will be of benefit. Male or female, having babies or not having babies, we all need to look after that pelvic floor. So when we work in a moment, we're thinking of ribbons of muscles really, running left to right and back to front. I always think of it as a kind of basket weave, but we're drawing up and releasing, drawing up and releasing. So getting yourself comfortable. So again, you could sit on your birth ball or lean over your birth ball or the chair. You can use a chair to lean over to. Cushioning the knees. You could lie on the floor if you want to, or you could just be sitting cross-legged. It's completely up to you, but however you are, just checking that it's going to be comfortable for a couple of minutes. So closing the eyes, taking the focus inwards. Maybe having a little picture in your mind of that saucer of muscles I described. And then thinking about 3 three areas really of the pelvic floor. We're thinking about the urethra at the front, the vagina in the middle, and the anus behind. So I find it helps to picture those as three little discs that we're drawing in together and drawing up through the body. So just have a little feel of that now. We're drawing in the urethra, the vagina, and the anus. So it's worth saying at this point that you might want to pause the video and go to the toilet if you need to. I sound like your mum now. If anyone needs to go to the toilet, go now, because it's not good to practice the pelvic floor on a full bladder. Okay, so if you need to do that, off you go, and I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so sitting comfortably, relaxing, soften the features of the face before we start. So just relaxing the forehead and the temples, softening around the jaw. And then when you're ready, just drawing in those three discs. Feel as if you're drawing them up through the body. Just lifting and holding. So what we don't want to do is hold the breath. So keep the breath flowing. It's just the pelvic floor we're holding on to. Just a couple more breaths. And then releasing. So taking a lovely big deep breath in for me. And exhale. So notice how with that exhale you're really softening and relaxing and letting go of any tension in the pelvic floor. So we focus a lot on the lifting and the holding, but it's just as important to relax and release and let go. So when you're ready, once more, we're drawing in those three discs, we're lifting up through the body. And we're seeing if we can keep that hold for a few breaths. So don't worry if you feel it slipping, releasing, just sucking it up again. And if you're not sure what's happening down there, that's quite normal as well. But the more you practice this, the more you will make the connection with those muscles. So don't give up. So everyone just scooping up a little bit more if you can. The breath smooth, relax the face, soften the forehead, release the jaw, relax the shoulders. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. So again, nice big deep breath in. And exhale with a bit of a sigh. So let's try that again. Inhale. So just rolling your ball away, pushing your chair away. And we're going to come down to relax. So I want you to make sure that you're really warm and comfortable. So as a rule, when you're pregnant and relaxing, we don't lie flat on our back. We lie on our left side to encourage baby around to that side, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in future classes. The important thing is to get nice and comfortable. So you could have your blanket over you for warmth or under your head, or I'll tell you what I've got here that you may have at home is one of these sort of cushions. You might already be sleeping with one of these, one of many cushions you may be sleeping with at the moment. So as you lie on your left side, you can always put that between the legs. Sometimes that's really comfortable. And just finding position where you can begin to relax and let go. So I don't want to nod off, so I'm going to sit up while you relax. So just beginning by focusing on your breath. So not trying to change it at all, just noticing the breath. Just allowing it to slowly wash in and out of the body. And then bring your mind to your face. And I want you to really soften the features of the face. We hold tension in the face, particularly the jaw. Just relaxing the forehead and around the eyes. Soften the temples. Soften around the jaw to the chin. Maybe noticing a little space between the teeth, between the lips. And allowing that softness to just float, travel down the neck. So releasing the long muscles of the neck and out across the shoulders. Allow the arms become heavy and soft and relaxed, all the way down to your wrists, your palms, to the very tips of your fingers. And at this point, just allowing a nice deep breath to come in and releasing and softening a little more as you exhale. Softening your torso, relaxing your rib cage. Soften the hips and the buttocks. Check you're not holding in tension in that pelvic floor, so really letting go and softening deep within. Softening around your baby. So lying there, you can imagine your baby's just snuggled up with you. Listening to your heartbeats, rhythm of your breath, knowing already your mummy's feeling that love, safety. Allow the legs to be heavy and soft, and relax the ankles, the feet, and the toes. The mind starts to wander, just bringing it back to a soft breath. Allowing each exhale to relax you just that little bit more as you surrender your body to the floor. Feeling supported and safe. using the breath to quieten the mind, to relax the body. Before we start to bring a little movement back into the body slowly, just something I'd like to read you. Who am I, you ask? I'm made from all the people I've encountered and all the things I have experienced. Inside, I hold the laughter of my friends, the arguments with my parents, the chattering of young children, and the warmth from kind strangers. There is music and emotions I cannot convey, but I am made from all the people and all the moments I've experienced. That is who I am. So when you're ready, just beginning to take a longer, deeper breath in. You can imagine that breath travelling all the way out to your fingers and your toes, down around your baby, flooding your body now with lots of lovely fresh oxygen, feeding the muscles, feeding your baby. And slowly bring a little movement into fingers and toes. And in your own time, just gradually beginning to have a little stretch. Maybe stretching the face, maybe screwing up the face and opening the face. It's still daylight, but you can have a yawn. And then a nice long lazy stretch out. And when you're ready and there's no rush, just slowly coming up to sitting. So just sitting however's comfortable for you. You can sit on the floor, in your birth ball. You can have the legs extended away or crossed. And just listening to your body. However you're sitting, I'd like you to sit tall, so find again that length and space we've maybe created through the body. Lifting into the sternum and relaxing the shoulders back and down. And then we're just going to extend the arms either side, stretching the palms, stretching into the fingertips, opening the chest, lifting the heart. As we inhale, bringing the arms all the way up. As we exhale, we're exhaling to the heart. Namaste, peace and love. So thank you for joining me for today's class. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I've been getting some lovely feedback already from the little snippets that I've posted on Instagram. So please keep them coming. It's really encouraging for me in this time. It's hard teaching and not seeing all your lovely faces. So please keep me up to date with your baby news and keep watching. I'll be posting weekly. So yeah, hopefully see you again next week. Thank you.